This was absolutely insane, completely mind-blowing what happened in the chamber today. During the debate on banning smoking for children, creating essentially a smoke-free generation, the Shadow Health Secretary was given an absolutely brilliant speech. And if you get a chance, listen to the full speech. It's around about 45 minutes-ish, I think. So I'll put a link in the description below because it's far too long to put here. But have a listen because the whole speech is just absolutely brilliant. During it, the Conservatives were trying to have a gotcha moment, which just completely backfired. They wanted to know if he supported a consultation on vaping should the bill go forward, and he pointed out quite a few times that it's wrong for them all to be supporting smoking for children, and that the government wants to do consultations that they've already done, and that's fine, it's up to them. But they kept pushing and pushing and pushing. Now, bear in mind that the Shadow Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, had thrown his support and that of Labour's behind the government's bill, namely because they'd pinched it from Labour anyway. But then the Secretary of State for Health started demanding answers from the Shadow Secretary of Health of what he will do when he's in government. It's like, you what? You've got cross-party support. Labour are going to help you get this across the line because your own MPs are ganging up on you. And yet you still can't resist the urge to try and have a pop at the Shadow Health Secretary and then start demanding answers of him as if he's the one that's in government. It was just completely surreal and completely mad. Here, have a watch.
My honourable friend for Dartford asked a question about the consultation on vaping, and his front bench shook their heads completely at having a consultation. Can I ask the reason why? As somebody who is a former smoker myself and has actually moved to vaping to quit smoking, that is something that I genuinely think needs to be considered, and I'm asking him a simple question. Why does the Labour Party think a consultation should not go ahead?
I'm grateful to the honourable lady for her intervention. The government, to be fair to the government, and falls to me to have to defend the government against their own members. To be fair to this government, they have consulted on measures to clamp down on inappropriate vaping. They have consulted. And we've been urging the government to go faster in terms of cracking down on the sale of vapes to underage people, to young people in this country who've been addicted to a generation who's been addicted to nicotine. And I'll come on to talk about that further on in my speech. The government have consulted. What I do not think is acceptable is that we will go through this legislative process. We will have rigorous debate, no doubt today, but also in Bill Committee. That will then report to this House. It will then go to the House of Lords, where no doubt it will continue to be scrutinised. And yet still there are people who would tie the Health Secretary's hands behind her back and slow her down when urgent action is needed to clamp down on people who are selling nicotine to children, who are addicting children to nicotine. And I don't understand why on earth the Trussites in the corner are trying to tie the hands of their own Health Secretary when she's trying to do the right thing by young people. Perhaps the honourable member will tell us.
Member for giving way. He's putting me at the wrong side of this argument as a former smoker as well. So I would appreciate if he had a little bit more respect there. What I am trying to ask is, during the process of this consultation, of this bill going through, why does he disagree that people who are using vaping as a substitute for smoking should not be consulted on what they believe should happen throughout this bill?
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I don't know if there's a problem with the speaker system in here. This is the second time I've had an intervention and answered the questions, because I've already said, look, the government have consulted on measures to clamp down. I'm not against the government. I'm absolutely not against the government talking to people like her who have used vaping as a smoking cessation tool. In fact, I fully support the point that she is making, which is that vaping can be a really effective tool to help smokers, like the honourable member, to quit smoking. I'm in favour of that. That is good by health. And if the government wants to talk to people who vape as part of the passage of this bill and engage during the passage of the bill, that's absolutely fine. What I'm not in favour of is tying the Secretary of State's hands when she wants to do more quickly to stop children being addicted to nicotine. I'll give way to the Secretary of State.
Consult on this. It's a simple question. It requires a simple answer. Will Labour consult further?
Mr. Deputy Speaker, we're now in this parallel universe where the Secretary of State is asking me, as the Shadow Secretary of State, if I'm going to consult on her bill. And I'm willing to help her out. Like, if she wants me to sit on that side of the chamber and run the Department of Health and Social Care, I am ready and willing. But we need a general election to do that. I don't understand. This is just extraordinary. I feel like I'm living in a parallel universe this afternoon. It was bad enough when the former Prime Minister walked in with her book and her fan club. And now we have the absurd spectacle of the Secretary of State asking me if I'll run the consultation on her bill. This is extraordinary. I'll allow her to correct the record and save her blushes.
Not listening. He has been asked repeatedly, does he support the concept of a consultation on vaping in order to ensure these regulations are drawn up properly? He is not listening. He refuses to answer the question. We are clear on this side of the House. We want to get this right. We will consult. I'm simply asking if he'll answer the interventions that are being asked of him.
I mean, honestly, Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, you just can't help some people. I'm trying to help the Secretary of State out here and defend her against her own side, and now to curry favour with them, she's turned on me. I mean, now I know what it's like being in the Conservative Party. It's like a 1922 committee meeting in here. Absolutely absurd. Anyway, look, Mr. Deputy Speaker, for the final time, let me just explain the situation we find ourselves in today. The Secretary of State is currently in government. This is her bill. She is taking it through Parliament. She's perfectly able to run a consultation. I will support her in running a consultation if that's the support she needs. If only I knew it was that easy, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I'm so pleased. If that's all she needed was a bit of moral support from me to run the consultation, you go, comrade. I've got your back. Don't you worry. It's absolutely fine.
There's a video on screen now which I think that you should watch next. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time.